Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear viewers and listeners, as we have discussed regarding the belief system in Islam and the basic concept of Almighty and oneness of Almighty in our previous videos, today we are going to discuss another aspect of this basic belief. In Islam, we say that there is no image and there is no photograph, there is no idol of Almighty. That is, Almighty does not have any kind of form so that we are going to worship with the help of that idol. So it is not allowed to have any kind of idol worship and any kind of image or any kind of form with the help of that you can worship. It is prohibited in Islam. That is the reason idol worship leads to shirk. It is a major sin Islam, major sin in Islam, that is associating partners to Almighty. Now, the one aspect of this, why it is prohibited, why it is not logically possible, and why it is not suitable that you should have idols or you should have a image. The reason is because the things which we observe, which we see, and the things which comes in the boundary of our eye vision are only those things which are less than, or which are less in power, which are less in authority than us. We can see only those small things which are limited within our boundary. If you observe, we cannot see the galaxies, the millions of stars, because we don't have that much of capacity in our eye vision to observe these things. So similarly, Almighty personality and Almighty God, we cannot see him in this world with our naked eye. That is the reason hereafter we can see the Almighty. So when one particular thing you cannot see, you cannot observe it, so there is a question of imagining, or there is a question of having imagination of that particular Almighty, and later on you're drawing the image. So all these are illusion. So that is the reason logically it is not possible to have the image of Almighty, because we cannot see in this world, and only those things we can see which are less than power, less than authority than us. Only small things which comes in our boundary of vision we can see that. Greater than that we cannot see it. So that is the reason Almighty is a greatest. We cannot see him with our naked eye. His power, his knowledge, his authority is supreme. We cannot see the Almighty in this world. So that is the reason the person, if he goes on worshipping with the idols, with the images, so it leads to thousands and millions of gods, because every person has got his own perception. That is the reason we have got crores, millions of gods and goddesses in this world, because of this concept only, because they have started the worshipping Almighty with any form, with a particular image, with particular idol. So that is the reason basically Islam prohibits this kind of idol worship. So it leads to mislead, and people go away from the real oneness of God, and from true Almighty he will go astray. He will lead to a wrong path because of these images, because of these idols. That is the reason in Islam there is no concept of idol worship, there is no image, there is no, and the same thing is propagated and mentioned in other religious books also, that Almighty does not have any kind of form, any kind of image. He is unique, he is independent. That is the reason in Islam, even we are not allowed to have the photograph of our parents, of our grandparents also. We cannot tag on our home also. You can keep in somewhere else, but with respect, with so much of protocol, you cannot keep the photographs of your ancestors also, like image, like photos in your home, because it leads to worship of other than Almighty. So this is a basic concept, that Almighty does not have any form, any image, which we should follow and we should remember. The moment if a person does not believe in this, he will not become a Muslim, and he will no more will be a Muslim. So may Almighty bless us and give us a guidance to understand basic things, and we request you to share among your friends and relatives so that the sawab jariya will be in your account. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.